Welcome to the Tuesday, April 21st, 2020 edition of the Clemson Dubcast. Hope everyone out there is safe and okay and well. Life motors on at TigerIllustrated.com, and the recruiting world continues to turn, of course. Big news today on Corey Foreman choosing to go on some dates after getting married, for lack of a better way to put it. Obviously, we know that routine, while customary at a lot of other places, doesn't really fly with Clemson's coaches. Going to be really fascinating to see how that unfolds moving forward. The Letters to Dabo series continues on. Part 10 published earlier today, and we also are continuing the free trial, giving you free unlimited access until June 1st if you sign up by the end of this month. Pretty sweet deal there. Our title sponsor from the very beginning, Parham, Smith & Archenhole Law Firm, still busy, still accessible during the quarantine. They are taking calls during their normal business hours and also perfecting the best way to meet via video conferencing. Blake Smith and Brooke Archenhole, two good friends of mine. I can vouch for their experience and expertise. Whether you or a loved one has suffered from a car accident, a defective product, a neglectful nursing home facility, or a medical malpractice issue, these lawyers can provide the protection and guidance you need. Free consultations, 864-990-4581 or parhamlaw.com. That's Parham law.com. Another loyal supporter of the Dubcast is Blackacre Law Firm in Greenville, a subsidiary of Parham, Smith & Archenhole. Blackacre helps South Carolina residents achieve their dreams of home ownership by providing experienced professional representation for real estate closings. Attention to detail is crucial in real estate law. Blackacre is committed to making sure nothing gets by them preparing residential or commercial closings. Blackacre also offers estate planning services for their clients in the Greenville area. Find out more about Blackacre at 864-326-3507. Okay, going to catch up with CJ Spiller and talk a lot about his career as a high school track coach at Liberty High School. Interesting stuff. Enjoy. Okay, Larry Williams here, joined by CJ Spiller, the legendary CJ Spiller. Thanks for joining us, bud.
Oh, man, thank you for having me, Larry. It's always an honor and pleasure to get on and talk with you, as always.
Yes, likewise. And, man, I guess we got some news to talk about. You're one of 8 inductees into the 2020 Clemson Hall of Fame class. Congratulations. And when did you first hear that news?
I want to say I found out last Tuesday. Bob Mahoney called me and gave me the news. Actually, I normally don't pick up calls from unknown numbers, and I thought it was actually the people calling to let me know that my dogs were ready from getting their baths. And but it was him on the other hand, and he informed me that I had been, selected to be inducted into this year's Clemson Athletic Hall of Fame, which was truly an honor.
Yeah, so tell everyone, I guess, of course, the last month, everybody's life has been turned upside down. How has yours been turned upside down in terms of just being different from the way it was before?
I think I wouldn't say upside down. It just hasn't been normal because normally I help coach a track team over at Liberty High School. So it was in the middle of just starting off the track season. Then when this happened, it kind of ended that. So normally I'd be around this time I'd be actually on my way to track practice, getting ready for a track meet. But the good thing for me is when all this happened is my daughter was getting ready to go on spring break. So I've been able to spend a whole lot more time with both her and my nephew that's up here with me than I normally do around this time, just because they're down in Florida and then I'm up here coaching a track team. So that's been the bright side of all this, is that I'm getting to spend more time with those guys.
And so just letting everybody know, you live, I guess, on Kiwi. And
yeah, I'm on Kiwi, yep.
Okay. And how long have you been there or here, I guess?
I would say 2 years.
Okay.
I've been living out here 2 years now. And I always knew that I wanted to be close to Clemson University, in particular the football program and, with the relationships that I have built over the years. I just have so many connections up here. I always knew this was probably eventually was going to be my home. And so that's why I decided to build out here on Lake Kiwi. So it's been fun being out here and seeing different faces and meeting new people.
How old is your daughter?
13.
13.
Yeah.
Wow, a teenager.
Yeah, just hit the teenage years. Can't believe it. She was, I guess, like 3 or 4 when I left Clemson in 2009. So to see, 10 years now that went by so fast, to see that I got my first teenager on my hands, it's been really, it's been great, different because she's a girl, but it's been fun also as well.
I'm guessing she doesn't have many memories of your Clemson career?
Not many. I mean, obviously she was young when I played, but the good thing for me, I got some old footage from when I played there, so I can always go down and show her. And then she's always on YouTube or something, looking up highlights or anything.
Is she impressed?
I guess you can say that. She's hard to impress. So when I get the approval from her, I feel like I'd have done something.
Is she an athlete?
She actually just finished up her track season this year, and then she did basketball about 2 years ago. So this was her first year doing track, and she liked it that. But then obviously with everything, good thing for them, they had just finished up their last track meet. So this COVID-19 really didn't affect them from a schedule standpoint. But she fell in love with it. She liked it. So we'll see how she carried over to high school.
Oh, their tracks, the middle school track season was earlier?
Yeah, well, I mean, it started the same, but they only had like 5 meets. So they didn't have as many meets. And once those 5 was up, they was done.
And so the last time I saw you, I was actually at a track event for my daughter, a 7th grader at Liberty High School, and I see you walking around coaching, and we were able to chat for a while. Can you tell me just sort of the origin of you starting, and how long that's been going on, and what what inspired you to do that?
Well, my fiance, she went to Liberty, so I guess when they found out that I guess she was dating me, so they kind of went through those channels, and she has a nephew that runs there at Liberty, and I wasn't doing nothing, especially in the offseason. I was still going out there, even when I was playing. I'm like, well, I ain't really doing much, during the offseason anyway. I'm like, I can go out there, and it started off as just going out there helping, and then turned into, okay, you're technically the sprint coach now. But it's been fun, to be honest, to be able to see kids get better throughout the season. Then obviously over the years, that's kind of been very unique for me. I mean, it was challenging at first because of how they do track up here in South Carolina compared to back in Florida, where it's separate. So I'm having to deal with, we start at the age of, starting in grade, I want to say 6th or 7th, working all the way up to 12th grade. So you having to deal with, middle schoolers and obviously your high schoolers, and then, you throw in dealing with girls, so it was a lot of stuff. But the biggest thing that, I always told them is that I'm going to show you guys respect, and I want the same thing in return. And that was really my big only thing that I had with the athletes is every day we're going to respect each other. We're going to respect authority, but at the same time, we're going to come out here and we're going to work hard. We're going to get the work done. We're going to have fun. And, if we can do those things there, this will be a great experience for you. But if we can't, then it's probably won't be a great experience for you, because Coach Spiller, he can kind of be a little mean.
How long have you been doing it?
I want to say I've been doing it 3 or 4 years now. I want to say. I want to say like 3 or 4 years we've been going out there. And so, I mean, we obviously I'm very fortunate enough to be around a kid that went to Stanford, Keyshawn Johnson. You might know him. He was the #1 triple jumper a few years back. I mean, just a phenomenal athlete. And, got a track scholarship, and he's at Stanford now for track and field. So to be able to be around him and see the hard work, you kind of see you always hear coaches say, I kind of see myself in you. And now, since I've been doing it, he was one of those kids I kind of see myself in him just because of the hard work and the dedication and the time and the commitment that he put into his craft to try to become a better athlete, and then just the competitiveness. I never had to go into a track meet worried about if this guy's going to compete at the highest level. He lived up for that. And he knew he was the best when he went into track meets. And I always stress that, if you're the best, then go out there and show them why you're the best. If you don't think you're the best, then go show them why you should be the best. And, he always took that stuff, I wouldn't say personal, but he always took that to heart and went out there and put his best foot forward.
What have you learned about yourself as a coach?
Just patience. You have to be patient, and then at the same time, I have to separate, how I would do things if I was running track. It's a hard thing to do, but you have to separate yourself from that because, it's a different generation. You're dealing with different kids. So you can't say, well, if I was, your age, I'll be doing this because different kids take that message differently. So, that's really been the biggest difference that I've been having to adjust to, is just stepping back and not trying to put myself in those kids' shoes just because, our walk of life is totally different. But the one thing I do tell them, that I do stress to them, is that if you use the word great around me, your work ethic better line up with that. If it doesn't line up with that, I'm going to call you out on it. I'm going to call you out in front of your teammates. And it's nothing to down you, but it's just reality. If you tell me you want to be great, then you got to go out and show me. You got to put in the work. I can give you the ingredients and stuff like that, but then you have to go and put in the work. So I don't let the word great just be thrown around loosely at any particular track meet, then especially conversations that I had with them, especially if your work ethic and your dedication is not lining up with what you're telling me.
And I remember as you and I were talking there, and you were coaching and probably wishing that I would go away so you could coach your team. I remember there was a young girl. She was really antsy. She kept coming up to you and she said, "I'm nervous." Mm-hmm. And you said, I think I'm getting your response right. You said, "That's good." You said, "I was nervous before every game." And that just sort of stuck out to me. Do you remember? I guess I was a little surprised. Can you maybe enlighten me?
Yeah, it was. She was one of those young kids. She was an 8th grader. She was a hurdler, and her name Annalise, and she was a hurdler. Like before every track meet, she would get super nervous about just warming up, about the heat that she was in, or the other girls that was doing it. So I would have to try to calm her down because she would just get too hyped and almost psych herself out of going out there and competing at the highest level. And I always tell her, you done put in the hard work. You just got to trust what you done throughout the week or the day before. You just got to trust it and go out there and perform and execute it. Don't worry about anybody else, because track is totally different than any other sport. It's a team sport at the end of the day when you're trying to get team points, but it's such individually, because each event is it depends on you. Unless you're on the relay team, and even in then, it still depends on how you run your leg. So I always try to tell them, don't worry about what other people are doing or how they warming up. I said, they can look good warming up, but then you get out there and you can blow them out the water. And then with track, you just never know what can happen in a race. So if I just psych myself up with what she was doing, that I can't be the individual, and then you get out there, you're already defeated before the race even started. So to me, as an opponent, if I can sense that I already defeated you before the race started, then I got you beat already. So I always try to let her know that, don't give your opponent any more, ammunition or what they need going into a race. Just focus on yourself. I'm like, just trust what you're doing and you'll be fine. Obviously, like I said, with the rules up here, 8th grader could happen to be in a heat with a 12th grader. I'm like, you're going against a 12th grader, probably a girl that's been doing it for several years now. You just not starting. So don't get caught up into that. So the only thing I want you to do is just give me great effort. I can live with the results, but if you don't give me great effort, I can't live with that. So it was just one of those things with her. I always just tried to to just keep her calm and just try to just use some of my knowledge that I did when I was in school. I'm like, that nervous, it's good to be nervous. You should be nervous, but just don't let that overplay you into going out there and not executing what you've been doing.
Is there a fine line between good nervous and bad nervous? Is it easy to sort of?
Yeah. I mean, it is a bad nervous is when you starting to overthink things. You starting to, play different outcomes or stuff that, I guess you can say start making up things that you think will happen, that that won't happen. That's a bad nervous to me. Good nervous is, okay, I got the jitty buzz. I'm excited about getting out here and perform. I got my family here. They're going to be watching. Got, thousands of people. For me, it was, I got thousands of people in Death Valley getting ready to watch. I want to make sure that, I'm going to give these people, their money's worth, their hard-earning money's worth today. So that was a good nervous for me. But then once I got that kickoff return, or we got that, if we was on punt return, we got that punt return, I got that first, I was like, okay, now it's just back to football. It's back to football. Just do what you've been doing since you were 6 years old. So that's that good energy stuff. But you can really psych yourself up so much where it can get you to where you can't even perform at a high level. So I think the good, that's what separates the good ones from the great. They're able to bottle up that stuff and kind of stay composed.
Did you ever have any instances of that at Clemson where you were maybe too wound up?
Oh yeah, I definitely had a couple of those where I was too hyped. I mean, I think I always did it when I played against Florida State, obviously my home state school. Then the one chance that I got to get to play against Miami, I really, because you always hear about the Miami speed and the stuff like that. And as a fast guy, I think you put so much pressure on you, like, okay, I know I got speed, but I always hear about this type of speed. So let me see. So once I was able to break, some long runs and then obviously break that kickoff return before halftime, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm good. So I was, but throughout that week, I was always, okay, let me see. This is going to be a great test to see if I really got the speed to match what these guys showing on film tape. But then once I got out there, it's like, oh, okay, I done wasted all that energy throughout the week worrying about something that I already knew shouldn't have been a worry for me.
So it basically took you a half?
Yeah, it took me about a half to really realize, okay, these guys, they fast, but they're still not our fast yet. Well, me and Jacoby fast anyway.
Is there any difference in the preparation and mindset as you're approaching a football game versus track? I mean, because with track, you don't have to worry about the guy next to you like knocking your head off. Is there any difference to the sort of the way you approach it mentally?
I think there are similars. I mean, there's a couple of differences because, like you say, when you're in the blocks, it's not you don't, when you look to that guy next to you, it's not about, that's not your teammate. You trying to go out there, he trying to beat you and you trying to beat him. And to me, it's all about technique and form and track. When it comes to football, you got 11 guys on the field. So especially on offense, that's why you always, hear people say that on defense, one guy can mess up and another guy can cover for them. But on offense, if one guy mess up, it can mess up the whole play. So you have to worry about, making sure that everybody doing their job and at the same time making sure you're doing your job. So it's a lot that goes into it. It brings more of a team aspect to it. Compared to track, it's more, you get team points, but it's more individually. And you got to make sure that put in all the hard work that's going to pay off for that race. And each race is different. Not every race is the same in track. So it just depends on that day. It goes back to me telling. I mean, in track, anybody can be beat on any given day because you never know what's going to happen throughout the race. Somebody might pull a hamstring. Somebody might false start. You just never know what can take place during a race. So, I mean, it's a lot of factors that goes into it. But, if you go into that race already defeated, like, oh, I can't beat this person, then you already defeated before the race even started. And that was another thing I had to get used to and that I had to stop doing because I would let my athletes look at the heat sheet and see what heat they was in. But then I started sensing that they weren't only just worried about what heat they was in and what lane assignment they had. They was looking at the other times of the other opponents. Mm-hmm. So, say me and you in the same heat, and I see that you in let's say you ran a 10-9, and I say, okay, I run a 11. Well, I'm already defeated because I see that your time that's on that paper says 10-9, and I know my time is like only 11 seconds. So I'm already going to that race saying, oh, I can't beat that guy. And that's what they was doing. And they wasn't getting the best out of the opportunity. So just last year, I stopped doing it. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, if y'all want to look at the heats or you want to know your heat assignment, you're going to go have to ask another coach. That was just the bad coach spiller that was coming out. Now I'm like, because I'm not going to tell you. I'm like, I'll tell you your heat assignment and I'll tell you your lane assignment. But I'm not going to give you the paper and let you see who all in your heat because just mentally they not there to be able to handle that yet. Compared to me, it didn't. I mean, my coach, he can show me the paper, or if you're a competitor, he can show you the paper. Okay, I'm in this such heat. Okay, all right, let's go run. But to them, we deal with a different generation where the mentality just is not the same, and I think that's kind of where I had to differ myself from them.
You mentioned the importance of form in track. What are you looking for when you're watching? When you're watching these kids, I guess maybe we can specify sprinting. Like, what are you watching?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you go into the 100 meters, obviously, you try to break it down into like probably 3 phases. You have the drive phase, and then the middle of the race where you're almost pretty much standing straight up, and then you got the end of the race where you're finishing. So the drive phase, I'm just looking if you drive it when you come out of your blocks, did you pop straight up, or did you stay low enough, and then as you're going down the track, are you gradually bringing yourself up? Because that's a difference. And I tell them, I say, if you pop straight up, now you're at a disadvantage because now you got to run 100 meters compared to the person that's next to you. If they done drove, let's say 10, 15 meters, now they only got to run about 85, 90 meters. So you already done lost the race if you popping straight up out your blocks. So I'm like, I always stress that, just get you a nice drive phase, and then as you gradually going down the track, gradually pull yourself up, and then just your arms. People get it twisted. Like, the faster your arms swing, the faster your legs go. But people think it's backwards. Where the faster your legs go, the faster your arms go. But it's the faster who can swing their arms the fastest, that's who legs going to be running the fastest. And then just the elbow. Is the elbow, or you running what I call street racing? You got the elbows pointed out and you trying to muscle down the track? Or do you got your elbows coming, going across, swiping your rib cage? Are you relaxed? Are your face relaxed? Are you tense? A tense runner are going to lose every time. I pulled up plenty of examples for them to see that, okay, you see this runner, he running very tense. You see this runner, he running very relaxed. And that's why he won. But if you run it tense, it slow your time out. And then just the end part, finishing. Are you running all the way through the line, or are you giving up about 1 meter? Because that's the difference between winning and losing. And there was a prime example that we had. We had a 400-meter runner, and then we had my man, our mile runner, Kyle. And my 400-meter runner, he was so jacked up because we had a kid that used to run for us, was running for another team. And I knew going into that race that they was going to try to beat each other. But then once he seen that he couldn't catch the kid, he gave up about 5 meters. So our mile runner, who he's faster than in the 400, this is kid first time ever running the 400. He has the mindset he's going to always finish. So when he eased up, the mile runner went past him and won. And so after every track meet, the next day I have like a recap. And I brought that example, and I tell him, I said, this is not for me to call you out, but this is the stuff for me to explain why I stress, the importance of finishing, always running through the line, because that's the difference between winning and losing. So I say, now we have our best 400-meter runner losing to our best mile runner that never ran a 400 before, but just because our guy didn't seeing that he wasn't going to beat the guy that he was racing against, he gave up, and that gave our other runner the opportunity to pass him and beat him in the race. So I'm like, now, if I'm Cal, I'm talking trash to you. That's just me, because now I can go around and brag and say I beat you. But it was a great teaching point for the rest of the group, though. So I heap them, I give them criticism, but at the same time I love them too, and I applaud them. I call out people that do great. If they put a personal best record, or if I feel like they gave me great effort. I'm going to call you out in front of the group. So everybody in our group, the sprint group, know, hey, this guy, if you do something bad, as a sprint group, we're going to all sit down and I'm going to let everybody know. So that's just some of the things that, I done learned. I think is the best thing is just communicating amongst the group instead of saying, okay, let me say something over here. Then they turned it and said something that I totally didn't say to the rest of the group. So we always have a recap after each meet, and we go through, the performance of everybody from all the races, and I normally call out the time. So it's been really good, though, to be honest with you. It's been really, really good.
And you're able to see all these fundamental technique things in real time? Is there film? I mean, or you're able to just see it in the moment?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm always there, so I'm able to see all this form in real time. But obviously, the head track coach, he films the races, or one of our sprinters, his mother, she films the races and she'll send it to me and I'm able to look at it. But for the most part, I watch, like if I have a sprint, because I'm obviously, like I said, I'm over the sprint group. So whatever event one of my sprinters in, I'm watching that race each and every time. It don't matter if you in heat 1 or if you in the last heat. I'm going to make sure I watch each and every person heat. And then at the same time, as you seen, I was out there, I have the little note pad with me, and I'm jotting down notes, taking mental notes. Okay, stuff that I can recap for tomorrow. So that I don't forget.
Harris Flooring has been a major part of the facilities enhancements over at Clemson, not just with athletics, but also at the university level. And we are thrilled that they are a part of the Dubcast as a sponsor. Since 1947, the Junkins family and Harris Flooring have provided a unique shopping experience through value in their services, developing the right product solutions, and delivering on their promises. To check out some reviews on their work, just go to their Facebook page, Harris Flooring America. Rave reviews, just first class all the way. Phone number 864-642-6183. If you're a business owner and your business involves credit card processing, you need to reach out to Tandem Innovative Payment Solutions. A lot of different ways that Tandem can improve your bottom line by shaving off some of those expenses. In addition to processing credit card payments, Tandem also manages inventory, schedules staff, tracks sales, gains insight into customers, and gets transaction reports. With Tandem, you're not a number, you're a neighbor. Learn more about Tandem at tandempayment.com. Do most of these kids know who you are, or like know your history?
They starting to, because they will see when I come to the meets, they'll see everybody coming up to me. Like when I first got out there, they really didn't know like who I was. Like they knew my name, but they didn't really know like my history. And then it wasn't until like they started seeing, like we'll go to a weight meet and they started seeing other people coming up to me asking for pictures or asking for autographs. That's when it kind of dawned on them, because they'll come back and tell me stuff like, they find out, like if they tell one of their friends that, if their friend asks like, who's y'all coach? And they be like, oh, CJ Spiller. And the other person be like, for real? Like it's kind of like surprising. So, and they be like, yeah, it's CJ. They're like, and so now I think that kind of caught them now. But over the time, it kind of got better. Now they kind of made fun of, oh, will you take a picture with me, CJ? So they try to make fun of me. But for the most part, honestly, I really just try to keep a low profile. That's why I always try to stay like in the middle of the field, because it's really not about me. It's about them kids, and I want to make sure that I'm giving my time to them. But I think over the years, they kind of picked up on some of the history. And, some Clemson kids out there, and then it's a couple South Carolina fans. So I'm always dragging them, giving them a hard time.
That was the first meet I think that I'd ever been to in its entirety. And oh my goodness, I was thinking, oh, it'll probably be hour and a half, 2 hours. And I'm sitting there. We got there at 3:30, a half hour early, or I guess, anyway, and we didn't leave until after 9 o'clock. I mean, that's a massive time commitment. Is that normal?
Yeah, that's very normal, especially like if you been up here. Track meets normally don't start till 5 o'clock. Honestly, I mean, some people are doing different. Some people have a faster schedule where they're running, it's a running schedule, and then, you can get out of there in like 2.5, 3 hours. And to me, that should be about the top frame. Like anytime you get over 3 hours, that's a too long of a meet. But you just have we just have some of those events that just take a long time, like obviously the mile, the 2 mile, the 4x8 and stuff like that. So those events just going to take just a longer than, your sprints. 100 meters, that's not going to take long. Depends on how many heats you are. 200, that's not going to take long. 400, not going to take long. And then, then the hurdles, you got to set up the hurdles. So you got to wait till all the hurdles are set up on both the 100 meter hurdles and the 110s, and then you got the 400. So if you got a good group of kids and they're in place to set the hurdles, it make it smooth. Whereas over in Liberty, one of the coaches had to be on the students to make sure that they're getting the hurdles in the right position, so that when those events come, you can just set them up and you can go. And some schools, I'd have been in the meets where we'd have been out there in 2 hours. And I'd have been the track meets where we'd have been out there in 3 hours. I'd have been, part of you out there, it seemed like you out there forever. So, but to me, if I was running the track meet, that 2.5, 3 hour, that would be my time frame. I think anything over that, I think is too long.
Have you consulted Dabo Sweeney for any advice on coaching? Has he offered you any?
I haven't had that conversation with Coach Sweeney about, people always keep asking me, when you going to join the program, when you going to go over there. And my answer always been the same, is like, I say I'll ask Coach and we'll have that conversation when the time is right. But for me right now, I think it's the biggest thing I have to worry about, just a commitment. I told somebody this a couple months ago, like, it's easy for these, I ain't gonna say it's easy, but, these coaches up here, it's easy for them to be around their family. For me, my daughter, she lives way in Florida. So if an emergency comes up, I have to be able to get on the plane and go to Orlando, Florida. I'm not saying that coach wouldn't have an issue with that, but, that wouldn't be ideally to keep doing that. Compared to coaches up here, they with their families and their sons and their daughters, so it's easy for them to run to the school or to go to an event, to a recital. For me, I would have to leave practice early, get on the plane, fly to Orlando, then fly back. So I'm like, right now, I don't think the timing of it is ideally for me. Probably maybe as she gets up into the high school years and, she's able to, fly, by herself, and I feel comfortable with her flying by herself. It's a difference, with, my daughter. I think that's really the X factor. That would be the deciding X factor if I ever was to join or ask Coach, does he have a spot on his coaching staff for me? I know that would be the X factor for me. Is my daughter.
So she is in Orlando now, or up here?
No, she's with me.
Okay.
Yeah, well, she lives in Orlando, but obviously she's up here with me right now at the moment.
Okay, and she just sort of is able to do school, I guess, the remote schooling.
Yeah, they're doing the remote schooling. They should. I think she actually just got done her last class. So yeah, they doing remote schooling. And
just sort of, it's interesting, like you mentioned, it's a massive time commitment for these coaches, so I guess you're sort of open to doing it at some point in the future.
Yeah, I'm definitely open. I think, since I've been doing this coaching with the track team, it's definitely kind of gave me that itch to something that I want to do later in life. But it just comes down to just that commitment. And, you don't know me long enough to, like, if I'm going to commit to something, I want to make sure that I'm giving everything that I have. And so I want to make sure that and that everybody's on board with the decision. I think when you make that type of huge decision, you have to make sure that you run it by everybody, because everybody has to be on board, because like you said, it's a commitment, sacrifice. It's a lot of time spent away from family. So, I want to make sure that everybody's rowing in the same direction. So I will have that conversation with my daughter, obviously, and then with my fiance, we'll sit down, and obviously I know they'll be supportive of, but I just want to make sure that they're on board whenever that time does come.
How much does having a child when you're in college change your life and help you grow up fast?
Yeah, it definitely made me grow up faster. I wasn't able to do, I wouldn't say I wasn't able to do, I just didn't do some of the things that, some of my teammates did. I still had a wonderful college experience, but at the same time, I knew that I had that there was another individual that was dependent on me, and honestly, I just had this mindset that, it might sound selfish, but like I always just dream about playing in the NFL, and I didn't want nothing to take me off track from that. Obviously, I wanted to graduate and do all that stuff, and that was awesome. My lifetime dream was to be an NFL player one day, and I didn't want to do anything that would hinder me from getting to that opportunity. So my approach was totally different than a lot of guys that was on our team.
You mentioned you and Jacoby earlier. Dabo has said there's a difference between track speed and football speed, and he doesn't. They don't even time players during camp or even during the season or anything like that, which I think is rare. You and Jacoby, who was faster on the track, and was it different on the football field? Because I always thought you were the faster player on the football field.
Yeah, he was definitely faster on the track. I can tell you that right now. I mean, that guy, he was just one of those guys that just had a great knack of how to run track. He can get out the blocks very quickly, had a great drive phase, and then his turnover speed was just ridiculous. I mean, you don't run a 6.51, for nothing. So that just lets you know how fast he was running. But on the football field, I don't know, just something about that grass that my mind just went to a whole different area. And he was fast on the football field. Now, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But I just feel like just the traction, just something differently when I stepped on the football field that just made me just want to up my speed even more. But I was able to learn a lot from him, both him and then obviously my buddy that's going in with me, Travis Etienne, because them guys had great block work. They was fast, but I was able to learn from them. I was always asking them questions, how are you able to get out the block so fast? What's the proper distance for me to be in my drive phase? Where should I pop up? What can I do with my arms differently? So I was always a student of, both track and football, and I was always asking questions. I think that was very important to me because I never wanted to feel like I knew everything because I know I didn't. And here I got, two of the fastest guys in America on my team. Why not soak up all the knowledge that I can?
So I think the last time you did this podcast, we sat down. I think it was the summer of 2018, and at that point, you were still entertaining the thought or the hope of getting back into the NFL. Have you closed the door on that? And if so, when did that happen? And what was that like?
I wouldn't say I officially closed the door, but I mean, I've been out 2 years, this will be 3 years since I last played this upcoming season. So obviously, especially being a running back, been out 2 years. I mean, it's always tough to get back in. But I haven't officially, I wouldn't say I have officially put in, my retirement, but I know that chapter is probably behind me. But I haven't just officially announced it yet. But it's one of those things where I sit down with my family and we'll make the official announcement. I'm already into that next chapter with, helping coaching this local high school team.
How difficult is that to make the transition from something that has defined you your whole life to something else, to something different?
I tell people all the time, I mean, football is always different it's always difficult when you have to close one door, something that you've done your whole life, and move on to something else. But for me, I mean, it's really been a very smooth transition, honestly. Obviously, I love to be playing and know somebody's team and trying to help win the Super Bowl, doing all those great things. But at the same time, I'm able to do something else that I love, and that's, helping other young athletes go off and try to experience some of the things that I was able to experience as a college athlete and then as a professional. So I'm able to, I guess, say give back or pay it forward. So that helped out a ton for me and made this transition a whole lot easier than what most people, because some guys, they get done, they literally don't know what they're going to do. But for me, with me helping out while I was still playing, that helped this transition a whole lot easier. If this was, if I wasn't coaching this high school team or helping out, then obviously it'd probably be like, okay, what am I going to do now? But since I've been doing this for the last 3-4 years, it's like, okay, I can just move right on to this.
How many injuries did you have as a pro, and what were they?
The biggest one I had was when I broke my collarbone in 2014 up in Buffalo. That was my biggest injury that I ever had. First time I ever even broke a bone. And then I had I guess you say I had a knee scope in 15, my first year in New Orleans. And it's hard. People don't realize how hard it is to rehab during the season. And that's what we was trying to do. And, obviously after that season went down, finished up, I was able to really rehab my knee like I wanted to and kind of get back to where I was at. But, obviously, organizations make, changes and things happen. So you have to deal with that. But the biggest one I had would be the collarbone. Other than that, I'm healthy as you can be.
And you're on the IPTAY board of directors. Tell us what that's all about.
Obviously, that's the big fundraising organization for our school. And, a couple of years ago, they knew that, I guess, the person that was in the Pickens County area, the person that was in that chair, I guess they was getting ready to retire or their term was up. And they knew that seat was going to be vacant. And somehow they got word and wind that I'd be living in Pickens County district. And they asked me, would this be something that I want to do? And I always knew that was something I wanted to do just because I always tell the story about sitting at home when I was playing. I forgot what team I was with. I want to say I was maybe with Buffalo. And they was interviewing, I was watching SportsCenter, and there's interviewing Derrick Brooks. And, they had his picture up there and all his accolades and, his titles. And one of the titles said, I think it said board of trustee member at Florida State. And I was like, man, that's very intriguing. Like that's cool to see a former athlete like on one of those, not just any board, like the board at his university. I'm like, man, that'd be something that I love to do at Clemson one day. And behold, a couple years later, the opportunity presented itself, and went through the interview process, and the interview went well, and they told me that I got selected, and this is my first year being on there, and I learned a lot. Some of the behind the scenes stuff that you don't really realize as a student athlete that goes on, and what that organization actually does. So it's been fun for me, just trying to learn as much as possible, honestly, and just learning more and more about our university, how things are operated from a money standpoint. What decision goes into building stuff. That's been very, very fun for me.
What are the main responsibilities for you?
Well, really, I sit on the rep board, so you have different reps that's out there, and so I'm part of Brianna. She's the chairman of that board. So we talk about how can we get more people to be reps to spread the news about IPTAY. So you try to come up with different tactics and strategies to go about that. Again, I sit on the major gift board, major gift committee, and obviously that's the getting money, going out and asking people for money. So that's something that's new to me. That's something that it's always tough for anybody to go out and ask another individual for money. But I sit on there with some great group of guys, and you learn about how you go about doing the process, going about asking these people to help keep the funding going at the university. And then you hear about the other committees, like the finance committee that they have. So it's really, honestly, it's just really been really fun. And even though, like I said, it's only been my first year, it's really been fun just sitting on there.
I was curious, back to your coaching, that topic. What is it like? I mean, extracurricular sporting activities are so important to keep kids occupied, to keep them just, I guess, grounded in a lot of ways. How, I guess, concerning, I don't know if that's a word, but are you worried, like, with this long time away, some of these kids left to their own devices and not having sports to really rely on? Is that concerning to you, to not really have they don't have that structure, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, it is concerning because we know they already spend a ton of times on tablets and playing video games and don't get out enough and just, going outside and, back how it was when I was a young kid and when you when you was young, you went outside and you played with your buddies and your friends. So that's the concerning part, is that, they have so much time now to just be on those tablets and play video games all day instead of just going outside and enjoying the day with some of their friends. That's the concerning part. And then, you got, your heart breaks for those seniors. They lost their senior year, especially the ones that was, in these spring sports. They don't have opportunity to compete for a championship. They won't be given the opportunity. And, high school is some of the funnest times of your life. So your senior year has kind of being wiped out, and nothing that they did wrong. Is just, what transpired throughout our country. So my heart's just break for those seniors, because they don't have the opportunity to do something special, especially if they're in a program that had never won a championship and they're trying to change it around. So your heart breaks for them. But you hope at the same time that they're using this time wisely, especially they get ready, they decide letter of chance to go play sports, that they stand in shape, doing all the necessary things they need to do. So when time does come, that they're ready to go. But every individual has to answer that question to themselves, and then once they get to the campus, the coaches know if they're putting some work. I promise they'll know if they've been working out or whatever the case may be. Like I said, they just have so much more free time now on their hands than they normally have if it was in school. Even though they're still doing the remote stuff, and but sometimes all them classes only last in 30, 45 minutes. So, it's not like they taking up their whole day anyway with that.
You still communicating with them?
Yeah, we normally were sending out before they actually went ahead and pretty much canceled the season. We were sending out workouts to our athletes. Now, was they doing the workouts? I have no idea. I wasn't, because we weren't able to go and have practices or anything like that. And, I wasn't even able to, if we wanted to go to school or anywhere, I couldn't go and, put them through a workout. So I would send them workouts through our little group me message thing, and, and just pray that they do them. But you don't know because you're not there physically. But now that they pretty much canceled the spring sports, our track coach, we just decided, there's really no need to keep sending, workouts when we know we won't be competing.
Did you watch The Last Dance the other night?
The Last Dance? I did not watch The Last Dance.
Oh, man. You know what I'm talking about, right?
No, yes. I did watch The Last Dance. Michael Jordan, yes. Yeah.
Boy, you said something earlier when you were saying when you're running track, you can't let the person beside you know that he's got an edge on you.
Exactly.
And I couldn't help but think of Michael Jordan saying that exact same thing when they began the season on a losing streak, and he was reflecting that he didn't want he wanted the Bulls to keep their foot on those other teams' throat and not give them even a sliver of confidence. A
confidence, exactly. And you can't do that with your opponent, because if your opponent get any type of confidence that they got you, man, confidence can do magical things. I've seen what confidence can do within the team. And that was a prime example of him saying that, like, you can't give to even think they have the advantage over you. And that's the same way it is with track. You don't want to give your opponent, even in football, you don't want to give your opponent not just 1 ounce to think that they got the advantage over you. Because when they do, that stuff can catch wildfire. And it's crazy what confidence can do amongst the team.
I'm just some guy who's watching that documentary, but you're somebody who competed at the highest level. What kind of impact did watching that have on you, just as a competitor, seeing his competitiveness? Probably. I was always. I'm a Kobe. I know about Michael Jordan, and I watched the Game 6 when they played the Utah Jazz. So I watched that series when I was young. But to me, I think this documentary kind of giving us a behind the scenes of what made Michael Jordan great. Like, we hear about the great stories and how great he was, but now we actually getting to see. I think, I watch Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless pretty much every day, and I think that's the same thing he was saying. Like, we actually, we hear the stories, how great he was, and, the great things he did as a basketball player, but this documentary is kind of giving us a physical view of, okay, this is what made him great. This is why he became Michael Jordan.
Like, this is what drove him. This is the determination. I mean, you've seen that. In the first two series, for the first two episodes, we done seen kind of what made Michael Jordan. It was that, he didn't want to lose. I think the thing that I took away from those first two episodes was, the game where when he broke his foot and they had him on a time restriction. Yeah. I think it was 7 minutes per half. And they had needed to beat, I think they were playing Cleveland, I want to say. They needed a game. They had to beat that team to make the playoffs. And Michael was pleading with the coach, I think it was 13, 14 seconds left. And he pleading with the coach, let me back in. But you had the general manager, Jerry Krause, saying, if you play him one more second, I'm going to fire you on the spot. So you knew how important winning was to him. And, they showed the documentary where Phil Jackson closed the door and they locked the GM out. Now take that in today's age. How many head coaches is going to slam the door and you got the general manager out there knocking, trying to get in? But they took that to heart. Like, you ain't in this to win. He was worried about draft picks, and I don't know Mr. Krause from the day on the moon. But just from looking at that, they sensed that he wasn't into about winning. He was about rebuilding, trying to get, draft stocks. But Michael Jordan, he was driven for winning. Like, he didn't want to lose at nothing. He didn't, what you mean it's over? No, it ain't over until they tell it it's over. So, and we've seen that through them first two episodes. So, man, I was glued to the TV. Like, man, this is why this dude is great. Like, this is Michael Jordan. Okay, I see why they always debating who's the GOAT. And really, from the first two episodes, I can confirmly say Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player I ever seen. I mean, that dude, he did some stuff that you just like, wow.
I mean, that's kind
of what I kept catching myself saying, wow.
Yeah, and that was a 30-53 team. And how many players nowadays, even the best players, would be devastated at the thought of not being able to go back in to help them win a game to get in the playoffs versus falling back into the lottery?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but I think that it showed us a glimpse of, how that stuff started when he was a young age. He always wanted to win. He hated losing. And I think that kind of just carried over to, obviously into his college days and then to his professional days, that he didn't like losing. It didn't matter. It's not over until it's over. And I think a lot of times, a lot of athletes get the wrong message. They have it backwards. You see that, we out of it. I always tell people, you're not out of it until you're out of it. And that was always my mindset, even when I knew that we probably didn't have a chance to make the playoffs. I'm like, we're not out of the playoffs until they officially tell us we've been eliminated from the playoffs. And that's the mindset that you got to have.
If you're in the Eastern Midlands and PD area and you're in any way interested in buying and selling a home, commercial property, land, need to consider reaching out to Uptown Realty. They're based out of Sumter and run by a friend of mine, Patrick Enzer, big Clemson guy, used to cover the Tigers in a newspaper capacity, longtime supporter of Tiger Illustrated, longtime listener to the Dubcast. The home buying process should be an enjoyable experience, so let Patrick and his staff do all the heavy lifting. All you got to do is pick up the phone and call 803-774-0435 or go to uptownrealtysc.com. Happy to have Founders Federal Credit Union on board as a sponsor with us. If you've been to a sporting event in Clemson, you've probably heard about Founders already. They are the official credit union partner of the Clemson Tigers. In addition to that, all Clemson faculty, staff, and students are eligible for membership as well as IPTAY members. Matt Gross is a proud Clemson alum and the vice president for the Clemson market for Founders Federal Credit Union. Matt's office is located beside the Walmart Neighborhood Market on Old Greenville Highway in Clemson. For more information, go to foundersfcu.com. Did you give Travis Etienne any guidance on his decision to stick around for another season?
No, I just told him to make the best decision for him, and I told him to make, as long as he made the decision, I was happy. His decision wasn't going to change my view or change our friendship, whether he stayed or whether he go or whether he left. And I think, his legacy, I think if he would have left, it was already cemented into Clemson. But the thing I told him was, as long as you make this decision, I'm happy. I mean, obviously you take advice from a lot of people, and and I'm not going to sway you from from either staying or going. I just want you to be happy and you to be at peace. But the moment you make a decision based on what somebody else says, that's when you're going to lose the peace. And, big thing I took away from that conversation with him was, he wanted to be an example to his younger brother. He wanted to graduate. And, you can't blame a guy that wanted to graduate, want to be one of the first person in his family to graduate. So I kind of can relate to that because I wanted to be the first one in my family to graduate. People kind of assumed that I was coming back for my senior year, but it wasn't 100% certain. It was, I came back as, draft grades came back as first round. That's what the committee sent back to me, a first round pick. And I knew I wanted to graduate.
I sure as heck didn't assume you were coming back. I thought you were gone.
Yeah, so I was just happy that for himself. Obviously, he sat down and talked to his family and, talked it over with them. But, I think they kind of left it up to him and, he took in all the advice. And I told him, I said, you're going to get backlash either way you stay or if you go. I said, as long as you can handle that, you'll be fine. But I say the thing that you can't do, you can't have one foot in the door and one foot out the door. Either way. If you go, you got to be okay. Go get ready for the combine, get ready for your pro day, and then enjoy draft day. If you come back, look at all old film where you can get better as a player, get on top of your books, do all the necessary things you need to do. But you can't sit around and say, oh, man, I wish I would have went to the NFL. I say you can't do that if you decide to come back for your senior year. Because once you close that door, it's closed. And you can't worry about anything behind you. So, I think he took that to heart and, he made the decision.
What is the C.J. Spiller scouting report on Travis Etienne? Let's just pretend you're an NFL scout for right now.
Very explosive running back, got great balance, great vision. You can't really, I wouldn't really knock him on his hands, but I would put I don't even say you really put a question mark beside it, just because you'll have to look at the offense as an entirety and see how involved is he in the passing game. But when the ball is thrown his way, do he got soft hands? Do he feel comfortable catching the ball? Those are some of the questions that, will have to be answered just because of, the offense that he's in, and he's not asked to do a ton of, some of the things that other guys are asked to do. Another thing, his lateral movement. Do we got quick feet? Do we understand the blitz pickup? I think, is he a great protector? You have to be a great protector because they're paying that quarterback a whole lot more money than they paying the running back. So can you protect him? Do he understand where the blitz coming from? I think all those things checks off. Obviously, then just what type of person? What's his makeup? What makes Travis Etienne? But those are things that you have to sit down and, when they go through the interview process, those are the things that you have to get from those. Those are nothing you can get from just watching the tape. Those are conversations that you got to actually have with that individual and be around that individual to know. But to me, he has the makeup of is unique. I was telling people the other day that normally running backs, you have two types. You either have the power guy or you got the speed guy. You rarely see one running back that got the combination of both. Mm-hmm. And Travis Etienne checks that box multiple times because he has power and he has speed, and that's a deadly combination to have. I wish I had his type of power because now you really have the defender at your mercy because they don't know what you're gonna do. They don't know if you're gonna run. They don't know if you're gonna run around them. They don't know if you're gonna run through them. They don't know if you're gonna shake them. Like you really have them at your mercy because of what you got in what we call as running back, what you got in your toolbox. So he has everything going for him. And obviously, I don't know his medical history. I only, see the stuff that, everybody else see. But obviously, I'm pretty sure, these scouts, they'll do, they homework, do due diligence and get really the full medical. You want to look at all that stuff and make sure, he's healthy. From my understanding, he's been as healthy as he can be. Hasn't had any major injuries, and hopefully keep that up, knock on wood. So to me, he should be the top. He'll be my top running back coming out next year on the C.J. Spiller draft board at the running back position. Travis Etienne to be number one. And that's not to be biased. I just think he's the best running back in college football.
And the crazy thing is he's powerful, and his upper body is still developing.
Yeah, he's still developing. And, the thing I'm very impressed with him is that he I'm pretty sure he got a sense of how good he is, but he don't really realize, how good he can be. And that's a great thing to have in the individual. And, but he's just such a humble kid. And, he takes everything in stride. He doesn't get caught up into all the lights and cameras action and all that stuff. He just put his head down and goes to work. So if he was on my draft board, he would have been my number one guy this year coming out, honestly. To be honest with you, he would have been my number one running back coming out in this year's class.
Did you go to the national? Go ahead.
And I said that's not to take anything away from the other guys. I just think he's really the total package.
Did you go to the national championship this past year?
Yeah.
Were there times when you were saying, give the ball to number 9?
I probably caught myself 1 or 2 times saying that. I'm not going to lie. But it was just one of those things, man. It was just, I don't know, it was just one of those up and down games where we just seemed like we just didn't have our best stuff on offense that night. But obviously, hindsight looking back at it, obviously we would love to have got Travis involved into it, but I'm not on them headsets, so I don't know what went into those calls. So, but I'm pretty sure Coach Elliott, he broke down that film and took all the notes that he takes to make sure that he don't make the same mistakes throughout that game. And I love Coach E.B. I think he's a great teacher. I'd have been able to sit in to his running back meeting room there, for him to open up his doors and allow me to sit in there and just been able to sense how he teach and coach these guys by far, man. He's got to be one of the top running back coaches in the nation. Like the way he teaches, the thing you look for is how detailed he is, explaining stuff, not just your position, but where everybody else going to be. This is explaining why you should be right here. I mean, he's very detailed into explaining, the offense to the guys and then just breaking down defense. And, obviously with his receiver, help these guys, the running backs, understand coverages and stuff a whole lot better compared to, just a typical running back coach. So they getting in both ends. They getting the guy that played receiver, so he's able to understand the coverage. He knows the coverages. And then he's very detailed, and all running back coaches are detailed. So you're killing really 2 birds with 1 stone. So I've been very, very impressed with Coach Elliott, man. I'm very happy that Coach Sweeney made that. I think it was one of the best ones because, man, he's good as it gets.
Last question. We know most people know about the business card / contract that Dabo made you sign, agreeing to come visit Clemson in 2006, I guess it was. And then we know about the car ride that you and Coach Sweeney went on. I guess it would have been after the 2006 season when you were thinking heavily about going back to your home state and playing for the Gators. Somebody on Twitter asked me this, I guess a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it was a great question. What was the more important event, the business card or the car ride?
I guess they go hand in hand because
if there was no business card, there'd be no car ride. Yeah,
I'm about to say, that's definitely going to be my answer. If there's no business card, then there's no car ride. So I guess if I had to choose, it'd most likely be the business card because that got me to come visit Clemson. And then obviously the car ride would be second because that got me to stay at Clemson. And really, it was just I just did an interview a couple hours ago, and I was telling whoever it was, John Murphy, people up in Buffalo, I was just telling them that it was just one of those things where I had kind of just got so frustrated with the way our season ended against Kentucky in that bowl game. I just felt like with, I don't want to say, well, they ain't really taking a shot at Kentucky, but when you look at this from a stat standpoint, they was the worst rush defense in the country at the time. And I just felt like with me and James only touching the ball, I want to say 7 times, I just felt like that's not what I signed up for when I came to Clemson. And so it was just, a lot of emotions. But then when I was able to get home, I always thought about what my grandparents said and what my mom always taught me is that, you never make decisions based off emotions. Never let your emotions get in the way of making decisions, especially important decisions. And that was a very important decision. So once I took my emotions out of it and I kind of went back to that contract or that letter of intent that I signed with Clemson, it kind of just, I guess from my spiritual background, it kind of just it's like a vow. Like when I signed that contract, it wasn't a year-to-year type contract. It was a vow for, 4 years, eventually. So me and Coach Swing kind of just talked about that stuff. Just talked about, why go join somebody else, backyard when you can have your own backyard. I think that was probably one of his best quotes he ever told me, honestly. I mean, he told me a ton of them, but I mean, that one right there is probably one of the ones that kind of really stick with me, because you can use that in life itself, and that's what he said. Why? Tebow was doing his thing, had to let his team to, they was in the national championship. He was like, why go, join his backyard when you can have your own backyard? And I was like, that is so true. Why just go be just another guy when I can, establish myself, somewhere else.
Well, CJ, I'm sure you're a busy man with your daughter in town and your nephew as well, and preparing for a wedding. Do y'all have a wedding date yet? Yeah,
we'll be getting married here in about May 16th, so about like 20-something days.
Oh, goodness.
I want to say.
Well, we're right. That's right around the corner. So best of luck with that, and congratulations. And hopefully, we're all able to get past what we're going through sooner rather than later. And I'll keep in touch and hope to see you coaching track sometime soon.
All right. Thank you, Larry, for always a pleasure to talk to you.
Okay. Thanks so much to CJ Spiller, also our 6 sponsors and businesses everywhere, small businesses, large businesses, you name it. Please do what you can to support the places you love in your area. Everybody out there, take care, and we'll be back soon. Cheers.